You've been crawling through hell on your hands and knees, haven't you? Blood in your mouth, silence in your chest, and 1,000 ghosts whispering that it's over. But listen to me. You're still here. That pain in your bones, that fire behind your eyes, that's not weakness. It's proof. Proof that whatever tried to break you didn't know who the hell it was dealing with. They left you in the dark thinking you'd rot. But you didn't rot. You hardened. You changed. You became something else. They buried you thinking you were dead, but you were just planted. And now you rise. You rise with the fury of 1,000 silent nights, with the memory of every blade they drove into your back still burning in your flesh. You rise like rusted iron, turned red hot in the furnace of your suffering. Not pretty, not polished, but lethal. You didn't beg for mercy. You tore it out of the void with your teeth. You learned to carry your own weight when no one else would. You learned to make peace with the pain, to drink it like water, to let it feed the thing growing inside. You stopped looking for rescue and became your own salvation. Every mile you crawled wasn't a defeat, it was a warning, a signal flare in the dark that something unstoppable was still breathing, still moving, still coming. And now the earth trembles because it feels you standing again. There's something different in you now, something sacred in the scar tissue. You're not just surviving anymore. You're remembering who you were before the world tried to break it out of you. That ancient, wordless hunger behind your ribs, that's not madness, that's memory, that's instinct. That's the part of you that knew all along. This world doesn't get to define you. No trauma, no betrayal, no silence can drown the thing inside you that refuses to die. So stand. Stand like every second of agony made sense. Stand like your bones were carved from the ruins of every storm you've outlasted. Stand like the darkness should have known better than to leave you breathing. You weren't shaped in comfort. You were forged in chaos. Every betrayal, every scar, every time someone turned their back when you needed them most, it built you. Not into something fragile, into something ancient, into something terrifying. You are the storm they never see coming, the silence before, the scream, the fracture that never breaks, the shadow that watches and waits. You carry pain like armor, not shackles. And every time life beat you down, you got back up with blood on your teeth and fire in your lungs. You weren't just forged in chaos, you became it. You learned to speak the language of suffering, to dance with demons while everyone else was too afraid to open their eyes. You walked through fire so long, your skin stopped burning. Now the flames bow to you. The world sees rage and calls it destruction. But you know better. You know rage is just truth wearing no mask. You know that when everything is stripped away, love, loyalty, safety, what's left is raw will. That's what you are. Will that never surrenders, spirit that refuses to die, and that makes you more than dangerous. It makes you inevitable. They mistook your silence for surrender, mistook your stillness for weakness, but you were never broken. You were loading, holding back the storm because you knew its time would come. You waited, watched, measured the weight of every blade, buried in your back and remembered. Now when you move, it's not desperation, it's precision, not revenge, reckoning. You learned how to bleed without begging, how to suffer without showing it, and now you've become something not even the darkness wants to follow home. You've seen what happens when hope dies, but you also learned how to bring it back with your bare hands. You resurrected yourself. No choir, no applause, just grit and teeth and fury held together by scars. You stopped asking for rescue because you realized no one was coming, so you became your own army, your own savior. You wear your trauma like war paint, not to hide, but to announce your return, not with mercy, but with memory. Every tear you ever held back, every scream that stayed locked behind your ribs, now fuels something greater than survival, ascension. And the world, oh, the world remembers you differently now. They whisper when you pass, not because you're loud, but because you carry the weight of 1,000 battles in your eyes. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your presence is prophecy. You walk like someone who's buried their past in fire and wears the ashes as a warning. People feel it, that edge in you, that hum of barely contained wrath, and they wonder what it would take to break you, not realizing that question has already been answered. You've already been to the edge, and you built a home there. This isn't rage for the sake of rage. This is rebirth. This is the roar of a soul that refused to be silenced. And every time someone sees you standing, scarred, still breathing, still unshaken, they feel something ancient stir in themselves. You remind them of what's possible, of what survives after everything else is taken. You are the ghost of every person they tried to destroy who didn't stay dead. The walking proof that the worst they can do still isn't enough. And in a world obsessed with comfort, you are the embodiment of endurance, a living monument to the truth that some of us aren't built to break. We're built to outlast everything. They don't understand what it took to survive, and they don't need to. This isn't about them. This is about you and the war. You fought in the silence, the nights no one saw. It's about the screams you swallowed, the tears you never let fall, the hope you refused to kill even when it begged you to. You walked through fire and came out burning, not broken. You've been alone in a way most people will never understand, but solitude was your crucible. In that isolation, you didn't wither. You evolved. You didn't shatter. You sharpened. You didn't die. You became deathless. They never saw the nights you clenched your fists so tight your nails drew blood just to feel something. They didn't hear the arguments you had with yourself in the dark, the ones that left no winners, only silence and scars. While they chased comfort, you were at war with the part of you that wanted to disappear. And still, you stayed. That's the part they'll never understand. Not the strength it takes to fight 1,000 battles, but the strength it takes to keep breathing when you don't even know why anymore. You don't wear your strength like armor. You wear it like skin, raw and real, bleeding but alive. Because that pain didn't kill you, it revealed you. It stripped everything fake away until only the truth remained. And the truth is this: you are not fragile, you are feral. Solitude wasn't punishment, and it was initiation. It was the trial by fire that burned away illusion, distraction, weakness. It left you with nothing but your soul, and that's where the real war began. When there was no one to rescue you, you learned to resurrect yourself. Again and again and again. You stopped waiting for someone to come save you and became the storm that saves others. You learned that peace isn't the absence of pain. It's the presence of clarity. And in that silence, when the world forgot you, you remembered who the hell you are. You stopped surviving. You started becoming. That's what forged the weapon in your chest. Not applause, not praise, but silence. Silence so loud it deafened everything else but your will to live. It was in that silence you learned what most people run from, who you really are when there's nothing left to prove and no one left to impress. You learned how to sit in the wreckage of your life and build a new version of yourself from the bones, stronger, smarter, colder maybe, but cleaner. No delusion, no lies, no fantasies, just you and the grind. You learned that not everyone who walks away is a loss. Some exits are blessings disguised as abandonment. You are not here by accident. You didn't stumble your way into survival. You fought for every damn breath. You earned every inch of the ground beneath your feet. People think survival is just about staying alive, but survival, real survival, is choosing to live when everything in you wants to quit. It's getting out of bed with a heart full of shrapnel and still walking like it's whole. It's making something beautiful out of everything that tried to kill you. You've done that. You do it every day, and no one, no God, no devil, no man can take that from you now. So when they look at you and don't see the war you've survived, let them stay blind. They don't need to know what it cost. They don't need to understand the nights you died and came back without a sound. Let them underestimate you. It makes the reckoning sweeter. Because you are not just the survivor of the storm. You are the storm. You are the one who kept going when everything told you to give in. You are proof that the darkness doesn't win if you refuse to let it. You are not a victim. You are the verdict. And the verdict is this: you were never built to break. You were built to endure. You've felt the cold steel of despair press against your ribs. You've looked into the void and seen it blink. But the truth is, you're the void now. You're what hunts the darkness when even nightmares are too afraid to go. You've suffered so long that pain no longer terrifies you. It trains you, it teaches you, it tempers you. While the world drowned in comfort, you drowned in fire and breathed it like air. You are the reckoning they thought would never come. You are the soul too heavy to be carried by anything but will, and will is all you've ever had. They tried to name you with weakness, but you answered in silence. The kind of silence that follows after something ancient wakes. They thought your tears made you soft, but every tear carved deeper into your resolve. You stopped praying for peace and started becoming the storm. You realized no one was coming to save you, and so you rescued yourself. Not with grace, but with grit. Not with wings, but with teeth. You dragged yourself out of that grave with fingers torn and fury blooming in your chest, because somewhere inside, something primal refused to die. Something that knew you were never meant to be ordinary. You are not hope, you are hunger. A hunger that refuses to settle, to shrink, to kneel. You carry the scream of every silent night, the roar of every dream that burned instead of bloomed. And now, your silence speaks louder than any scream ever could. Every breath you take is a defiance, every heartbeat a war drum. You were built in the shadows, sculpted by solitude and perfected through pressure. And the ones who broke under the weight of comfort. They'll never understand you. They'll call you cold, but the truth is, you just burned too hot for them to hold. You don't flinch anymore. You calculate. You don't cry out. You clench your jaw and keep walking, because this world is not gentle and neither are you. You've become the blade, not the hand that drops it. You've learned to smile, with blood on your tongue and purpose in your eyes. Let them call you heartless. They don't know what it costs to survive with your heart intact. You still feel, but you don't break. You still care, but you won't beg. You've buried softer versions of yourself so that this one, the one standing now, could live. Because when the fire came, you didn't run. You walked straight into it. And now it lives inside you. You don't fear destruction anymore. You embody it. You are what rises from ashes with teeth bared and soul blazing. The kind of spirit that doesn't just survive, it devours. That doesn't just endure, it etches its name into eternity. And no one saw it coming. They mistook your silence for surrender. They thought your stillness was weakness, but it was always the calm before the slaughter. And now they'll learn. You were made for this, for the brutal, the beautiful, the impossible. You were made to carry weight most would collapse under. You are not just surviving, you're ascending. With every scar you wear like scripture, every failure turned fuel, every moment you almost broke but didn't, you rise. You are a storm wrapped in skin, a legacy born in fire, the kind of soul that history doesn't forget. And when they ask where you got this strength from, you look them in the eyes and say, I bled for it, I burned for it, I earned every inch of it. Because you are not built to break. You never were. You were never meant to fit into their world. You were meant to break it, to tear down the falsehoods, the fragile masks, the hollow strength. Your rage is not rage. It is remembrance, a living archive of every time they counted you out. You carry your past like a sword, sharpened by agony, swung by purpose. Let them look into your eyes and realize you don't need saving. You are the salvation, the one who crawled through the abyss and made a throne of bone and ash. Let them choke on the silence of your survival. You didn't ask to be different. The world made you this way, carved you out of stone while everyone else was molded from glass. They feared your silence, mistook it for weakness. But silence is a weapon too, sharper than screams, colder than war. While they danced in comfort and crumbled at the first sign of pain, you stood alone in the fire and laughed. Because deep down, you knew you weren't built to belong. You were built to lead rebellions, to rip the veil from the lie and stare into the chaos until it blinked. They trained you by trying to destroy you, and now you're untouchable. They crowned you an outcast, but they never understood exile doesn't kill kings, it creates them. And in your solitude, you didn't lose your mind. You found your soul. You found the voice that doesn't whisper, it roars. A voice forged in the clash of agony and defiance, one that speaks in thunder and commands storms. Every sleepless night, every quiet breakdown, every unseen battle, you logged it, stored it, turned it into fuel. So when you walk into the fire now, you do it with open arms, because pain is just home to you. You're not driven by vengeance, you're driven by truth, and truth doesn't beg to be believed. It burns through lies like wildfire through dry brush. You've become the reckoning to a world drunk on comfort and cowardice. They preach strength, but flee at the first cut, while you've bled every color and still kept going. They don't understand that your scars are sacred, that every one of them is a scripture, a record, a holy war written in flesh. You are the book they tried to erase, but you etched your story in steel and flame. And when they come now, confused, afraid, in awe, don't offer them kindness, offer them clarity, show them what it means to earn every inch of your soul. Let them feel the gravity of a presence that never asked for approval, only demanded space. Space to grow, space to rise, space to destroy the chains they worship. You don't need acceptance. You don't crave validation. You are not a reflection. You are the origin, the source, the one who stood when standing meant bleeding. So let them tremble, let them talk, let them label you everything they fear, because they're right. You are fear. You are the myth that survived. The whispered name in the dark that even monsters won't speak. Not because you're cruel, but because you're complete. You are everything they tried to suppress, every primal scream they buried, every ounce of fury they silenced. And now, you wear it all like armor, because the truth they never wanted to face is this: you weren't made to follow their world, you were made to end it. This world doesn't give strength. It takes everything until all that's left is either a corpse or a conqueror. And you didn't come this far to die on your knees. Get up, get the hell up, stand like the war you are, because inside you is a beast that never learned how to beg, only how to bleed and bite and rise. You're not built to break. You're built to endure. You're built to hunt. You're built to burn brighter the more the world tries to put you out. You weren't born for the easy path. You were carved from the chaos, bone by bone, scream by scream. There's something ancient in your blood, something primal that doesn't know how to quit. That part of you that clenched its fists when the world said stay down. That part of you that smiled through cracked lips and whispered, not yet. That's the part they fear, not your strength, but your refusal to surrender, not your victories, but the rage that kept you alive when you had nothing left but breath and spite. You're not here by accident. You earned every second. Earned it through war, through silence, through nights so cold your soul almost cracked in half. And yet, you walked through it, teeth bared, spine straight. You see, the fire they tried to drown in you, it learned to swim, it adapted, it grew fangs in the dark. You didn't just survive what they threw at you, you became it. You learned how to weaponize your wounds. Every betrayal, ammunition, every failure, fuel, every scar on your back, a map of where you've been, not where you're going. You don't run from your past. You drag it behind you like armor forged in hell. It doesn't slow you down. It warns them. It tells the world you've already lived through the worst. And now you are the worst thing that can happen to anything that tries to chain you again. Don't you dare play small for a world that never had room for you in the first place. Don't you dare apologize for being carved from something harder than fear. Let them choke on your name. Let your silence thunder louder than their screams. You don't need their validation. Your scars are proof enough. Proof that you can bleed and still fight. Proof that even when everything inside you shattered, you chose to keep breathing anyway. There is glory in that. Not the glory they paint on marble walls, but the kind etched into flesh. The kind that never fades. The kind only warriors earn. This world wants you tame, predictable, weak, but you were never made to be leashed. You were made to run through the fire, not away from it. They will call you cold. Let them. They will say you've changed. You have, and thank God for it. Because soft things don't survive where you've walked. Kindness without spine gets eaten alive, and you've got teeth now. You've got the eyes of something that remembers everything it costs to stand here. Let them look. Let them wonder. But never let them forget that you weren't built for their comfort. You were built for the war that lives inside you. So when the next storm comes, and it will, don't flinch. Don't ask why. Smile. Because storms don't scare you. You are the storm. Let it rage. Let it tear through you. And then rise again just to show it you can. Because that's what unbreakable means. Not that you never fall, but that you never stay down. That even with ash in your lungs and blood in your teeth, you stand again and again and again. Because you're not built to break. You never were. There's no peace for someone like you. Only purpose. Only the path carved through ash and ruin. You don't walk it because you want to. You walk it because you must. Because something in you refuses to bow. Because every broken piece of your past is welded into the weapon you carry inside your chest. And when they ask you how you survived, you won't answer with words. You'll answer with presence, with silence that screams, with a gaze that says, I never broke, I never bent, I became everything you fear. They thought the silence would bury you, but you became it. A silence so loud it cracks the bones of cowards and calls out the truth in men. You walk into rooms like a storm wrapped in skin, and people feel it in their chest before you even speak. That's not intimidation, that's recognition. Their fear isn't of you, it's of what you reflect back to them. What they could have been if they hadn't folded. Because deep down, everyone has a moment they chose comfort over courage, but not you. You chose fire. You chose fight. You chose to become the thing no one dares to name. You didn't survive just to breathe. You survived to burn, to walk through every shattered dream and light it up like a battlefield at midnight. You carry grief like a sword and memory like a shield, and every step you take echoes with the names of the versions of you that didn't make it. But this version, this one is the final form, the unrelenting, unmoved, unholy force of will. There is no going back for you, no soft return, only forward, teeth bared, fists clenched, soul on fire. You are not looking for redemption, you are the reckoning. Every time someone told you to calm down, to shrink, to be less, they were just afraid of the volume of your truth. But you were never born to whisper. You were carved from thunder and baptized in storms. The world doesn't need another hollow. Smile? It needs the weight of your roar. You're not here to be palatable. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to cut through the noise like a war cry. So speak when it matters, move when it counts, and never, never trade your edge for their comfort. The world will offer you chains dressed as safety, smiles that hide knives, promises that taste sweet but rot the soul. But you've learned to see through it all. Your eyes, sharpened by betrayal, don't miss anymore. You see people now, don't you? The real ones, the hollow ones, the ones wearing masks, and you don't flinch, you don't shake. Because when you've sat alone in the fire long enough, you realize one truth that changes everything. You are the danger. So now, walk. Walk like every step is a drumbeat to the war inside you. Walk like the ashes beneath your feet used to be the bridges you burned and the doubts you buried. Walk like you know who you are, because you do. You are the scarred, the risen, the warrior who crawled from the grave and built a kingdom in the ruins. You are proof that the human soul can't be caged, that some spirits weren't made for peace. They were made for purpose. And yours? Yours is to remind the world what happens when someone who's not built to break finally decides to rise. So take that pain, take that loneliness, take that ache in your bones and that war in your spirit. Wear it like a crown forged from the wreckage of every time they tried to break you. Because you didn't come this far just to come this far. You came to conquer, to remind this world what unbreakable really means, to look back at the wreckage of your past and say, I made it through all of that, what else you got? Because this isn't the end. This is the part where you rise. And when the world watches in silence, trembling, they'll know you're not built to break.